Hello everyone. Sorry about not posting for a couple days. I've just been way too busy. So I've been thinking about the project, and if we go over to Figma.com, and the design we did, it's kind of like doing it this way. Exactly. This would take quite a while. I don't want the playlist to be hours long. I don't think anyone needs to learn how to do cards, right? I don't know why I tried adding that in there, but this would just, it would pretty much be more boilerplate code. I just want to keep it simple and just kind of like create a text editor and maybe just a preview page. I think that's pretty much gonna be it for this project, right? A simple little playlist for anyone that's confused on how to use TipTap right here. What you want to do is you want to go over to their documentation. I think they give us a great example to kind of like get us started. If we can, yeah. All right, so they have React, they have Vue, and also Svelte. I don't know how you pronounce that. Svelte. All right, we'll go with that. What you want to do is you want to copy this index.jsx right here. It pretty much gives us a really good start. Let's see if we can get this. They use SCSS for the styling, but that really doesn't matter. If we can go here, we'll just do some refactoring for the pages. Oh, this is the wrong project. Hold on, sorry. We don't really need home. Like I said, I'm trying to keep this as short as possible, so we'll just not even do. We'll not even add cards. Instead of home, we'll make this a preview page, right? Yeah, sorry about this whole confusion. Yeah, so it's going to give me an error, but let's see. So it's able to automatically change the routes. All right, I can appreciate that. Let's go. This is going to be preview. Let's see, preview, preview here as well. Yeah, so they changed that. Yeah. Uh, I have GitHub Copilot, but we don't really need that. Deactivate, disable globally. Gives me the wrong recommendations a lot of the times. Let's see, what's next? What's next? What I'm thinking is, if we can create a cool little design right here. Let's see if we can go to Figma.com. What I'm thinking is just having a simple little React. Let's see if we can do this though. What I'm thinking is just having the state up in app.js, and pushing that editor page, like just that editor content, like the title, the content, the tags, up to the app.js state, and then we can pass that onto the preview page, right? We'll have like a button down here or whatnot. Let's see if we can do this. We'll have like, yeah, we'll have a button down here that says preview, and then we can have the editor right here. Let's see if we can get color this a different way, maybe. Yeah, we'll have the editor down here, and as we write, we'll push that state live. We'll push it up to app.jsx, and we can preview whatever we have by clicking on this button, right? And as soon as we get rid of it, that preview page will also be empty and whatnot. Let's see. I think the preview page could look something like this. If you can go here, this is some weird project I've been working on, just kind of like practicing React. Yeah, so something like this, right? This is what the preview page is going to look like. As soon as you click on this button, boom, it'll show you what you have, right? Let's see. We don't need the date. We don't need these two, but we'll just have the title here and the tags up there. If you have any pictures, it will show you. If you have any text, it will show you as well, right? That's what I'm thinking. Just kind of like refactor the code that way. Do we copy this? I said to copy it. Let's just copy it now. Just wanted to explain. So this gives us a really good start. I'll explain what the code does, but we'll have this here. Let's see. Yeah, so it's giving me this error, it looks like. Let's resolve what we can. I'll have to cut the video, I think. think if you guys are getting this error, that I was getting this error a lot because I used yarn instead of npm in my previous project, but now that I used npm instead of yarn, I don't know why it's giving me this error, but I'll get back to you guys as soon as I resolve this. Okay, yeah, sorry about this, everyone. Alright, so it's been like hours, right? I thought I clicked on OBS. That's the software I'm using. I thought I clicked on record, but I did not. You know, I did complete the whole project, but I moved on so far ahead, right? But I don't want to really delete everything and start over from, the beginning and whatnot. So I'll just explain what I did. I wasn't really recording properly, so you guys can just copy down the code, write it down, follow along, and I'll explain as we go. So let's see. First things first. This was uh, this was the issue. We downgraded from React Scripts 5.0.1 to 4.0.3. This fixed the issue, right? If you guys want to downgrade these libraries as well, right here, you can do that. You will see a little character right here, this little tick thing. I don't know what it's called, but it's a little upwards facing character, right? This thing right here. This, if you have this in your libraries, it's going to update it to the latest version of that library once you run npm I, right? So update it to these versions of TipTap. This extension is going to help us add images to our text editor. This is just going to help us align text pretty much. That's all it is. And then these two are just, it's a must have. And this is the one that was causing all the issue. So delete your node modules. If you're using yarn, delete that yarn.log. And in our case, we were using npm. So this is what it creates. You want to delete this after you delete node modules. So let's move on. If you were following along and using style components with us, what you want to create is a global styles.js file within the source, right? And then let's see. After that, you want to head over to the examples they have. Head over to the examples they have. If you're using your own styles, what you want to create is a styles.css instead of global styles.js. You want to copy all of this, implement it in there, and import that CSS or SCSS into the text editor, right? And let's move on. If you guys want to go over to this, if you're still having an issue, go over to this GitHub repository. This is what helped me out, right? Hundreds of people were having the same issue. But yeah, this is pretty much like the complete project. I moved on so far ahead. Let's start running this. Let's go. npm I. I did also create a GitHub repository for the whole complete project. So if you're having issues by the end of this video, just go over to that, run this command git clone, and then paste the URL of my repo here, and then you'll have everything, all the code, everything, and just run npm I. I think that does it for that. Let's go right into the code. Hold on. Let's start the project up. So bam, first things first, we're not going to be using React Router DOM anymore. We don't have many different pages. What we're going to have is just two components, and we're going to have a button that shows the previews page, and once it's clicked again, it's going to hide it, right? So just a preview page like this. So once this button is clicked, this is hidden, and we go back to the editor. Once this button is clicked again, we see it pretty much as simple as that, right? So this is what we're about to implement. We're going to do this in the next video, not this one. I'm just going to explain the code and what's going to happen here. Right, so what you want to have is two different states. One for the data, such as title and tags. This will make sense in a minute. And then we'll have one for content. So what this is going to be is, if we can restart this. Yes, I want to run on a different port. That's what happens if you have two React applications running at the same time. It will ask you if you want to run on a different port. So what we have here is three different inputs, right? This is pretty much just the content. This is the text editor. This is an input we created. It's called title. And this is another input we created. It's called tags, right? So there's going to be one state that handles these two, right? So title and tags, one state. And then we're going to have another state that just handles content, like everything in here, right? So this is what you want to implement, and you want to pass everything. Not pass everything. You want to pass set data. This is a function that's going to update our state, right? Also want to pass the data and another function that sets content. So right here, and then once you have everything, I think that's pretty much going to be it for this one. Let's see. I think for the global styles, I don't think I don't even have this imported. Right. You want to have global styles imported and set this way, pretty much. This is how the global styles apply. If you don't do it this way, I mean, if you have any styles in here, you don't import it. It's not really going to apply. I think the back that's an ugly background. Let's change it. Let's just change it to white. All right. FFF. Right. Let's see. There we go. All right. You know what? Let's get rid of a lot of these styles. Like we don't need this. It's going to conflict with something else I'm about to show you. So, you know what? Let's get rid of this as well. I don't like that font. So, you know what? Whatever. We're rocking with this. All right. Let's see. We want to go back to the editor page now. I think that's one of the last pages that's left. Um, it is very long, but to start off, let's styles, right? Not start off with styles. You have two different components here. You have the menu bar, which is all these buttons, and then you have the if we can, yeah, see again, it's just a bunch of buttons. It's returning a bunch of buttons. So the editor class and a bunch of methods that are chained together. And if you go over to the documentation, you can really see this and understand this better, right? They don't really explain it very well, but it's just a bunch of buttons really. That's pretty much all they do. Yeah, that's what the menu is all about. And then right below the menu, there's another component. Oh my God, this is way too long. Let's close that. Right below it is just a nameless function, pretty much. I mean, this is what's being returned, right? This is what's being exported, and this is what we see. I'll come back to this handler right here, but what? I'm I'm moving on without properly telling you guys how to get this. What you want to do is you want to go over to TipTap.dev examples default, and this is pretty much going to help us get a head start, right? You want to just copy all of this. You want to come in here into this component. You want to pretty much just copy and paste, right? That's what you want to do. And then, like I said, if you're using styles.css, just copy this, create that file. If you're following along, instead what you want to do is, did I include it in here? I don't believe I included it in here. Let's see. Actually, you know what? We will be doing styles for another video. I keep on forgetting. We'll do styles for another video. Let's focus on the code. Right now, this is what it looks like, right? We have title, content, tags. That's what we have right now. We're not going to mess with it. So this is what you should see. We're going to be changing. Next thing you should do is, before we move on to the data, right? What you want to do is you want to configure the extensions. We do have a bunch of libraries installed right here. As you can see, we have extensions -image, extensions -highlight, and extensions text align. So let's get these bad boys put in. What you want to do is you just want to literally type in, import these first of all. Import this component, image component, highlight component, and then text align component. Come down here and just kind of like configure it really. Configure if you want, or just leave it as it is the way I left highlight. Image.configure inline and allow base64 for text align. Configure it to heading and paragraphs. It's going to, I'll show you guys. I don't think we have these two buttons implemented into our code, but I'll show you. Once you have these two set up, what you want to do is go back to the buttons. Really, you can add two. I think we're adding two buttons, right? We're adding this image button. I'll explain what the image button does, and we're adding this highlight button. pretty much just highlights things for us. This is very crucial. I feel like adding this is just, again, very important. Like, you can't really have a text editor without having to properly highlight. Like, you don't have that feature. It's not a proper text editor. Let's see. Let's see. You can go over to their component. You can go over to their documentation. What am I talking about? I was about to say component. You can search up highlight. If there's any button you want, just go over to the documentation. They've got it right here. Multiple different colors, right? But the way I did it was, let's see if we can find so many buttons. Oh my god. If you can find that highlight button, I'll explain it. Right, so again, you wanna select this class, and all these methods right here. It's called chaining, right? You just want to chain all these methods together and get this function in there. Kind of like, I don't know if it's active or not. That's pretty much going to be it for this. Like, as soon as you configure it, you can easily implement this button. Implement this button in here. Again, if you're confused, you could look at their database more. Not database, documentation. I need to get some sleep. I'm way too tired for this. But let's see. What else are we missing? The image. Yes, I didn't bother explaining that. So the image is going to be a bit different. It's not just going to be another ordinary button. It kind of is, but not really. So we're pretty much setting the on click up, like, on the inside, like, for a lot of these buttons. The thing is, we want to use an if statement, and we want to use this window prompt. It's going to be a little more than a normal button, right? We're going to have this add image. We're going to create this handler, prompt the user to enter something. Let's see. Yeah, it's pretty much going to prompt the user to enter URL. So the next thing you enter is going to be stored in that URL variable, right? And now we can check if the URL is actually, valid. Well, not valid, but if it really just includes anything weird. Like, the user can just, he can press OK, and not add anything. But if I add anything, it's going to take that as an image. You see? So this is going to check, hey, does user contain anything? All right, then create this image, and the source is going to be URL. You want to take this, and it's going to be quite hard to find, but let's see. You just want to create a button, and the on click, you're going to pass this method in. That's pretty much going to be it for the image. Let's see. Data. I think it's about time we moved on to data, right? We're coming to the end parts here. The finishing parts. Let's see. So this is something else you're going to add if you probably want to get Did I bother explaining this? This is going to be like placeholder, right? This is pretty much like a placeholder HTML for the content. If you go here, this is like initially what it's going to hold. If you really want to put in anything, or if you want to create a different HTML or whatever for yourself, you could put that in there. But like I said, I copied this from the documentation, so this is what they had. So just pretty much like a placeholder. I think we went over a lot of things other than, let's see, went through a bunch of buttons, extensions. We talked about that. On update, we have not talked about that. All right, so let's move on to the data, right? This is the last part. So we did create that input. You want to give it a type of text and a name of a name of title, and instead of using an onChange event handler, you want to use onBlur. So when the user enters something, let's see if we can refresh. When the user enters something like title here, right, and then clicks away, it stores that data. It stores the data once the user goes away from the input. Same with this, right? Same with this. Once the user clicks away, once this is not, a black border, it will store that data. That's how that event handler works. It's much better in my opinion because it's not it's not tracking every little thing that's happening like the way onChange does. I know that's and that's what a lot of people use, right? Got a little placeholder. Yeah, make sure the name really matches up with whatever you have as the key in the state. Let's move on here. We'll talk about this. We'll talk about properly setting the data for the title and the tag, and then we'll talk about setting the data for the content. So we have this handle data that we are passing down here onto this on blur event handler, right? So for simplicity's sake, we're using if and not if and else statements, but just an if statement, right? So we're checking, hey, is this target's name title? It is. All right, then do this. It's going to it's going to call this. Oh my god, I'm not feeling well, but I need to get some sleep today, bro. Way too tired for this. But let's see. We are deconstructing. I forgot to say this, but when you pass these as props, right? What you want to do is you want to deconstruct them so we can properly use them, right? In here, so we can properly use them and actually set the state in app.js, right? So just do it in that way, or that syntax at least. Create a handle data, and then we're going to be using the event. And what you want to do is say e.target.name if this is equal to title. All right, then update this with whatever the value is, right? And this is going to run every time the user clicks on it and clicks away from it. This function will run pretty much. I mean, this is very simple to understand, honestly. I think this is something else I didn't talk about. The spread operator. This is going to make sure that everything in the data isn't really, everything in the state isn't reset just because this one thing is being updated, right? And the same thing goes for tags as well. If the name is tags, and if the name is tags, then pretty much do the same thing. Don't reset the whole state, and give me the value and set it to tags within the state. That's all it is. But see, on update. So this is another handler the editor has. It's a built-in handler, right? You could do on blur here as well, the same way we did once the user clicks away. Once the user enters something, let's see. The styling's not great. It looks so ugly. Yeah, but let's just do on update, honestly. So again, I think I said this before, but we're going to be creating two different states, and what you want to do is pass that set content. This is going to be a function, and this function is going to work with our state, and it's going to set it. Let's see. I am not doing a great job explaining today. Deconstruct that function, come down here, and pretty much just, oh my god. Yeah, you pretty much want to deconstruct it, come down here and set content to editor.getHTML. You could get it as JSON, or you can get it as text as well. But we want to get it as HTML because we do have this library and it's going to help us parse the information. It just makes things much easier, right? We're not really updating this. We're not sending it to a database. We're not really serving it anywhere, so we don't really need to use it as JSON or get it as JSON at least. I think that's pretty much it for everything, honestly, right? Let's see. Is there something I'm forgetting here? No, we did create the highlight button. We did create the image button. I think that's pretty much going to be it for this one, honestly. I don't think I spoke about the preview page, right? The preview page. We're not really going to be adding anything in here other than passing props such as data and content. And I just want to show you guys how this whole thing's, being put together. Am I console logging this? No, I'm not. All right, let's go back to app. A shorthand way of console logging something is just CLG, right? Just CLG. Data first and then content, right? Let's see. So let's just type something in, testing title. So as soon as we click on something different or we focus on something different, it'll console log that. Watch this. Boom. There we go. I actually want to do the same thing for editor as well. Let's go down here. Instead of saying on update, let's do on blur. Because I just feel like that's just much cleaner, right? We don't wanna console log something 1,000 times. Testing title. Boom. Let's click away. And more content here. Let's click away. Like I said before, it's literally going to store everything as a string. You guys can see it right there. I'm hovering over it and it's printing the whole string right there. My throat is super dry today. I can't even speak properly. Right, okay, so tags. We have another simple input. Let's just say nature, edu for education. Actually, before we end this video, I think I want to split the string in half. It's a whole string at the moment, but I just want to split it from space pretty much. Run that string array method to kind of like split that string. Make it 2 items instead of just one whole nature edu string, right? 2 items in the array. I think that's pretty much it. I want to go over how the data is being passed through different components. So app is like our parent here, right? Like it contains all the data. Preview is getting everything as props, as you can see right here. App has everything as state right here, hooks. So all of that is being stored as HTML. Is there something we're missing? Nature edu, we don't want it to be this way. We want to have 2 items instead of one long string, right? And titles being stored. I think that's pretty much going to be it for this one, but before we finish up, let's see. Before we get done with the video, let's see. Where's that one if and else? Yeah, so for tags, before we actually set tags, let's disable this. It gives me the wrong recommendations all the time. Let's see. Let tags equal. Yeah, we pretty much just want to split it honestly, and then just kind of like set it to the database. Boom. So go back here. We'll have 2 items, nature and test. Just honestly, whatever. So they're not one. It should be 2 items, not 1 item. Tags. Target that. No, we don't want to split it by this. Let's split it by space. Or I mean, you could do it that way, but let's just split it by space. I think this should work now. 1, 2. Yeah, so we do have 2 items. We do have 2 items right now. 1, 2. All right. Kind of explain what's going on here. We're creating this variable and we're taking e.target.value every time it notices that tags is being changed and we want to store value in tags. It'll run this, right? So we're just splitting it by space. Maybe if you want to change things up and split it by commas, maybe tell the user, hey, if you're trying to input tags here, make sure you have a comma between every word. You could do it that way, but I just want to do it through with space pretty much. And I think this is an ES6 syntax. You don't have to do it this way. Like I'm sure it will recognize it. If you're trying to store tags in an object, just do it this way. Really, just say tags. It'll recognize it. You don't have to be very redundant. Let's see. I think that's pretty much going to be it for this one, right? Tags are being stored. We do get all the content. Let's see. Test. testing title. So everything's here. In the next video, we'll go over pretty much creating a button down here, making everything look beautiful, and maybe in the next one after that, or if you guys want me to put everything together, we can just kind of like finish this whole thing up, this whole TipTap editor thing. You pretty much what you're gonna do is you're gonna click on this button. I feel like this is what it's going to look like. The editor page is going to take up maybe this is what the preview page might look like. Click on this button, boom, you click on it again, you'll see the editor page. You click on it again, you'll see this. Kind of like style everything. Am I missing something else? Honestly, it's quite simple. I'll just do it all in the next video. Honestly, I feel like I've really dragged this whole little playlist or series long enough. But that's going to be it for this one. I appreciate you guys following me along. Appreciate you guys, watching this whole playlist. We're going to end it with the next one, I promise.